Had a little listen to his podcast, huh?
Dude, it's educational. And besides, I've been wanting to listen to this one.
Welcome to Idling in the Impala, podcast by and for lovers of supernatural and the fanfiction it inspires. Before we begin, just want to remind you to follow us wherever you listen so you don't miss any episodes or bonus content. If you love what we do and want an easy way to show your support, please consider leaving us a positive, all the stars, rating on your favourite listening platform. It helps SBN and fanfic lovers find us and share in the fun. I'm Kasey.
I'm Sandra. And if you can remember a few months back, I did an update on the different challenges, writing challenges I was involving myself in for some lunatic reason. Well, Kasey's come along for the ride and joined on the wonderful, what I'm going to call Bings and Bangos challenge, because we just can't seem to put more things into our ever
Leave things alone.
filling schedule of ideas and thoughts and processes. And wouldn't this be a great idea? And then we decided, and we're like, why did we do this?
Why have
So
we done this?
we're going to talk about Kasey's, I guess, not journey, but just like your introduction to a lot of these things, because you haven't done any of this stuff either.
This is my first time.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, you don't need to take responsibility for the bingo thing, because my mouth wrote a check that my ass then had to cash, because I was the one in the last one that went, if they open up signups again, I'll sign up. And then literally like 2 days later, they were like, signups are opening. And I was like, oh, fuck.
Well, it was kind of, I don't know,
Did
clandestine.
you know?
I knew that there was something coming up, but I wasn't sure what. And when you started to say that, I was like, I think Kim's actually going to be opening up the second round. I said, I'll have to look into this, because then Kasey's going to be doing this stuff.
I've been bamboozled.
So I was surprised. I was really, not surprised that you would, try to write a check that couldn't be cashed, but it was still kind of surprising.
With people? Why?
Like, Kasey, wait, stop, think.
Stop. Like Gene Wilder's Willy Wonka. Stop, don't come back.
So yeah, I guess we should say too, like, shout out to Kim and JAcklesVerse bingo, because that's actually the bingo that you have, gotten yourself involved in.
Yeah, which is a weird choice for
I was gonna ask why.
Died in the wool Sam model. Well, because you were involved, so I knew I'd have a buddy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like doing things without a buddy. Which is why Liverpool was such a big deal. I was about to say, I hope this comes out after Liverpool, but Liverpool's already out, so we're okay.
Yeah,
that's why Liverpool was such a big deal to do something like that on my own. So I knew you were in there, and you'd already done it, and so I had like kind of an idea of how it worked, because like you'd been like, oh, I've done this and I do this, and so you'd already started. So I knew I could be like, Sandra, I don't know the Tumblr format, help me. And she did. It was fine. I stole like the template from her Tumblr post and just changed it to mine. But yeah, it was just, I don't know, man. It was just like a wild kind of like, yeah, fuck it. Kind of thing. I thought I liked writing for prompts. Turns out, I like writing for very specific and detailed prompts. Not so much the kind of prompts that you get for the bingo, but that's my problem, not a bingo problem. The bingo prompts are great. But yeah, it was just kind of like, you sounded like you were having a whole lot of fun. And I had been like playing around with it. And, why JAcklesVerse? Because that was the one that we were talking about at the time. There's no Padalecki and Jared doesn't go together. I was like, JAcklesVerse? That doesn't fucking work.
Well, but there was a hesitancy too, right? In terms of, because it, just like every other, I think specific, it depends on the mods and like their requirements and what we allow and what we don't. So I'm thinking too, there was some hesitancy with that. Maybe I shouldn't say hesitancy. I'll just call it more of a challenge for you too, because there's no like, for this one, they don't want Wincest or Destiel or Cockles or J2. Like those are like the things they don't. And I know what you really enjoy, and I feel like really get a lot of fulfillment out of writing is more, I think, Wincest stuff. And I think some J2, but I don't know how much of that you're really think you're doing some stuff, right? But not.
I was about to go, I don't write J2 and I don't write.
Mm-hmm. Was that like AU stuff? But that's what J2 is anyway. So I don't.
But there's no the fic you're thinking of. There's nothing between J2 in that fic. They're just buddies. But we'll get into that.
We'll get there.
Yeah. No, RPF in general, I can read it, but the concept of writing it gives me a little bit of.
Yeah, because I think some people just do it a lot better and get it, and they don't have that, like, I don't know if you call it squick. I think it is for me, like, to some extent.
It's a hang up for me, certainly, because I'm
a little bit.
Yeah, I can never. Yeah, this is all going to be so hypocritical in about 10 minutes. I could never get past the idea that they were actually real people that you would be writing about, and that always, like, I had reservations. Yeah, let's put it like that.
Because I think for me, as more out of like the realm of just real world, it is the easier it would be for me to grasp. Like, I've read a lot of great like sci-fi and fantasy stuff that have J2 in them, or like, dystopian, like, stuff like end of the world stuff that, just kind of like, it isn't in the doldrums and everyday, like, it's not like a coffee shop AU, like, to me, like that, if you get like too into that part, it makes it too close to home for me. Yeah. And I think that's why for me, it's like, I don't think I would, I do enjoy reading them, but I don't think I could write them without really being able to take them out of themselves situations. So yeah, and it's interesting because I know, like you said, we're going to be talking about something you've written that I think kind of borderlines that, but still it's fantasy enough that I think it works. You know what I mean? So I think that's what like pulls me into that and makes me go, okay, I can go with this journey you're going to take us on. So I don't know if you wanted to. Do you want to share some of your squares and like if any ideas or like thoughts about like, oh, like as soon as you read that, you thought, oh, this would be this character, like I can do this character that Jensen's played before, like that kind of thing. Because we should also say too that JAcklesVerse does not carry or doesn't, you can't do every single character that Jensen's played. There's a specific wheelhouse of characters that you can kind of pull from. So yeah, whatever you want to share. We're here to talk about your bingo squares or your bango squares. If we're going to go along with my
bango
title.
was his name. Oh. I'm going to keep doing that. I'm sorry, guys. So first of all, obviously, this was after we'd already spoken to Kim. And then we were doing Sandra's update when I opened my mouth and I was like, oh, join in if they sign. So obviously Kim already, like, quote unquote, knew me. We'd already like met and hung out and stuff. Kim's awesome, by the way.
Yes.
So when I signed up, I was like, hi, Kim, done a thing. And she was like, oh my God, I can't fucking wait to like get your prompts. So like we said this when we were talking about Sandra's, she put so much time and thought into matching the prompts with the person, and she fucking nailed it for me so hard. So the prompts I got were dialogue, I told you I'd never let you go, a song, which is I Don't Want You Back by the Barnes. I'm not sure that's how you pronounce it actually, but
how is it spelled?
Well, it's BORNS, but the O has like that line in it, like that Scandinavian O.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I don't know if that's actually how you
the Bjorns.
Yeah, it could very well be the Bjorns. Yeah.
Okay.
And then They're Out of Time. Dialogue prompt: cover me in your blood, paint my skin with your love. Are you seeing a theme, guys?
Oh, I'm absolutely seeing a theme.
Kim's, I don't know if this is Kim's trademark thing or if this is a thing that you get in other bingos, but it's like 3 objects that you have to put in a fic. So I have shirt, umbrella, shoelace. Character A has a secret, but character B isn't as oblivious as they seem. Dialogue prompt: you fed my demons, you created mine. Voice kink. And then my final square was aftermath. Okay. And I sat around with this card for a few days and I was starting to think, like, I obviously want to listen to the song, and I'm starting to think about like different things that I can do and different, like who would this dialogue suit and who would that dialogue suit. But that aftermath one didn't sit. It just didn't. It was too vague. I need something a little bit more concrete. So I reached out to Kim and I was like, hey, can I just trade in this square? And she was like, yes, you can. What are you thinking? So I outlined an idea because that idea was like forefront in my mind at that time. So I outlined my idea. And I was like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. And she was like, fucking what? That wasn't what she said, but the gist of it was, you what? So I was like, yeah, no, I think it's going to be good. And she was like, fucking leave it with me. And she came back to me with the dialogue prompt, bend over, I'm not kidding. And I was like, fuck, yes. Oh, fuck. She gave me a few options, actually. She gave me a few options. And I was like, that one would be perfect. So trading out my bingo card, and those are my prompts. And as of recording, I have published one of them. But by the time this goes out, I will have published 2 because I've just finished my second.
So you got a 3x3 because that was all Kim was for the second round. That was all Kim was offering because she was offering 3x3, 4x4, 5x5. So you don't have a free space in yours. Okay, I do because I was a lunatic and decided give me 5x5. So okay, so I have a free space where I could just kind of like
but you had 6 extra months on me.
Yeah. Well, so I'm still haven't. I still don't think I'm gonna finish.
Yeah.
So what did you kind of vibe with? Were there ones you kind of vibed with immediately? I mean, I can guess. Were there ones you kind of vibed with immediately that you immediately had a character in mind for?
See, the thing is, like I could bend all of these to my Junkie series real fucking easily. So the one that's jumped out to me was cover me in your blood, paint my skin with your love. And I was like, oh, fuck, I can't do Junkies because it's Wincest. I can't do Junkies because it's Wincest. Fuck, I can't do Junkies because it's Wincest. So it's kind of, that one stumped me for a while because I was like, the fuck am I going to put this with? What? Who am I going to put this with? And I'll be honest, I still haven't 100% decided on that. But I sort of immediately had an idea for, like, I told you I'd never let you go, and you fed my demons, and then I was like, I don't know a great deal about other Jensen characters apart from Dean and Soldier Boy. So I was looking through the list, and it's like Tommy What's-His-Face from My Bloody Valentine. You can have Alex McDowell from...
I don't know if Dark Angel is a thing. I feel like I thought he was, but he's not.
Let me look at we should probably have prepared for this.
We have prepared for it, but I think with that too, we did. We just haven't prepared as thoroughly as we probably could have, but we did prepare. No, my thing is that I felt like I probably could have done something with Dark Angel too, but I don't think he was in there because I've
no, he's not.
Yeah, he's not.
No, he's not. So it's Jason Teague from Smallville, Jake Gray from Devour. Priestley from 10-Inch Hero, Tom Hanniger, that was his name, Tommy Hanniger, Dean, Jack Durfee from Buddy Games, Soldier Boy, and Bo Allen. I've never watched Smallville. I don't intend to. Okay. I haven't seen Devour. Now, I have a gripe with 10-Inch Hero, which is that if I'm going to buy it, I want to be able to own it. And the DVD is hella expensive. Tom Hanniger, I've seen the movie. So, yeah, there's that one. Dean Winchester, obviously. I ain't watching Buddy Games for 5 fucking minutes. I've seen the scene on YouTube. It's hilarious.
Okay, so
Soldier Boy, which obviously I've seen The Boys. I really love The Boys. Bo Allen. I have not watched Big Sky. I'll be honest, I have no plans to watch Big Sky. It's not my kind of thing. I'm sorry. He looks real good in it, you know. This is my list of characters that I'm allowed to choose from. And in addition to these characters, I can have Jensen as well. And I can do any pairing I want as long me and Sandra, you can do any pairing you want, excluding Wincest, Destiel, Cockles, and J2. So obviously, that's kind of a problem for me because I'm like, Wincest is my jam, though. This is the problem. So the first thing that kind of came into my mind was like, I would like to do some crossovers with some Jensen characters. That was kind of where I was first vibing. My interests, my writing of late has been predominantly male. So I wasn't really interested in, well, there aren't any female Jensen characters to cross over, but I wasn't really interested in, that's not to say that I'm not gonna, because maybe maybe a little bit. I have a couple of ideas for female characters, but predominantly I'm looking at male. And as we all know, I'm, what if it just bends a little? What can I do? How can I subvert expectations? What can I just bend and twist and move? What is going to be interesting? So my first thought was like, I'd really like to put Dean and Bo together. I think that would be really interesting. So I was kind of like, that out of time kind of jumped out at me. Something like they cross on a hunt. You know, Bo thinks it's a police thing, but Dean knows it's a supernatural thing, and they kind of like cross, and then they're like, oh, hello, and then they bang. Fucking why not? But like your fills don't have to be explicit. That is like they can be teen, gen, mature, anything, but
right. And they can be very short. Like they don't have to even be very.
No, I think that could be 200 words is the minimum.
Yeah, which is what I really want to try to do. I think that's more of a challenge than anything else. So I'm really trying to figure out one to do just a little drabble. Yeah, I don't know if you've got ideas about doing a little drabble at all.
I don't.
Okay.
I don't, but yeah.
No, that one sounds good, especially because I know there's always it's supernatural, but I think you find a lot of people writing scenes with, I think, Dean and like sort of like some of the police officers, they like in like different episodes that they cross and stuff like that. Like the little nugget that somebody just runs with. So I like that.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea for Dean
and also there's a lot of cross between like Dean and Cordell and Sam and Cordell as well.
Yeah.
Cordell Walker from Walker. So, and I'm reasonably sure there's quite a fair bit of crossover between Dean and Bo Allen as well.
Oh yeah, I think so.
But yeah, that was kind of one that just kind of jumped out at me. And then that thought kind of spiraled, because I was like, you can't use multiple prompts in the same fic, but you can in the same like installment, but you can write multiple chapters for a fic and have each chapter be a different film. Yeah, initially I'm like, Dean and Bo, that's kind of interesting. And then I was like, Voice Kink could fall into that. You know, they go their separate ways, but there's still this pull. Let's call it, let's have phone sex. I like writing phone sex, it's fun. Character A has a secret. Character B isn't as oblivious as they seem. That's fun to play with. I actually had to go to Sandra and I was like, do you think Bo Allen fucks or is fucked? Because she's seen Big Sky and I haven't. What conclusion did we come to? The Bo fucks. Tops is the postman.
I think
pitches.
So. Yeah.
All the
think
euphemisms.
So. Yeah. Because I feel like if we're talking Bo and Dean, I feel like Dean would be more of a switch anyway.
Yeah.
You know, so I think Bo would top. Yeah. I think.
I'm pretty sure that was the conclusion that we came to.
All right, it's been a while, so I can't remember.
It's been a minute. It's been a week, y'all. It's been a week.
But that's the vibe I would get if you would put those two together.
Yeah. So I took Sandra at her judgment there, and I was like, oh, but what if though? What if the secret is the Bo wants to bottom? And Dean's like, I fucking know. So then I've got this cute little Dean Bo trilogy. And that's kind of like, not that I haven't started work on that, but that's kind of what I was at. Cover Me. No, I told you I'd never let you go. That my initial thought for that was I want to do Dean and Jensen.
Okay,
that was what I wanted to do for that one.
Aw,
I want to do Dean and Jensen.
Yeah,
and I think initially I was going to be like, what if I do Dean and Jensen? Just like a character bleed thing. But then I had conversations with various different people, and between me and these various different people, we came up with the idea of that the "You Fed My Demons" prompt would fit better for Demon Dean, and I told you I'd never let you go would be for like Dean, regular Dean. And I'm quite happy with that. Shirt, umbrella, shoelace left me baffled. I was like, what the fuck am I gonna do with this? Fuck. But I have actually figured that out now. So if anybody remembers way back when I used to write hair, I have a trilogy of fics on AO3 called the Birthday Trilogy. And there is a fic for Sandra and a fic for our good friend Dandelion Dreaming, our good friend D. And I wrote one for me as well. And the one I wrote for D is a non-Wincest threesome. And it's the first and last threesome I will ever write. You think it won't be that difficult. You're like, it's just one extra dick, but it's not. I mean, it is, but there's 2 extra arms, 2 extra legs, and like a whole other person that you have to remember where they are and what they're doing and where that's fucking stressful. I hated it. I was like, I need those posable fucking art dolls with the fucking, I don't know where everyone is. So yeah, I'm gonna do a something in that same universe. Okay. So that actually will be Het, Dean, female reader.
Nice.
Which actually, I think a lot of the from what I've seen, the submissions, the fills tend to be Dean and original female characters and readers.
Yeah, reader insert OFC. So yeah, I think you're definitely bringing a flavor to
breaking the mold.
Yes, you are.
With all this dick. So I've got an idea for that. Mm-hmm. Cover me in your blood, paint my skin with your love. I am struggling with that one because it lends itself so beautifully to Junkies, and I'm really struggling to see past that because I'm like, you can't do Junkies. It's Wincest. Stop it. Mm-hmm. So I've got some ideas for that, but nothing concrete. The song, I don't have a fucking clue. Not a Scooby-Doo. I've listened to the song. The general gist of it is finding out you're being cheated on and being like, fucking go. Off you go. I don't fucking want you anyway. I'm better off without you, you know? And that feels like it's going to lend itself to an unhappy ending, and then my wonderful beta is going to come and bait me over the head with something. So I'm going to have to ponder that. But what I started on, and the one that is actually finished and published, was my trade-in square bend over. I'm not kidding. But you want to do a rundown of this one, Sandra, because you like this one.
Well, this one is Soldier Boy and Dean Winchester, and it's
what if it just bends a little, guys? What if it just fucking bends a little?
Alpha, Beta, Omega. So it's Omegaverse. And Soldier Boy is the Omega in this scenario, and Dean is the Alpha. And it's basically one of those things where Dean's been, I think, it's not necessarily something that he wants to be doing, but he's been sort of like enlisted in helping Soldier Boy with his heat cycle, I guess. And is it like once a year? I can't remember.
Twice
a year. So he's called on, I'm assuming it's by the powers that be. Again, it's been a little while since I read it, but they basically like
the powers that be.
And they kind of use Sam as sort of like this blackmail situation, I think, where like, you know, if Dean doesn't, Sam's at risk. And is it a little bit AU as well, or no? It is AU, right? Where
it's
is Sam not a hunter in this?
No.
Okay.
I don't think Dean is either.
Okay.
I don't think Dean is.
Okay.
But no, the way that they kind of like, Dean's like in his mid-30s, and it talks about like it's been going on for like a decade. So you get like this little background that when he was a newly presented alpha, like in his early 20s, Vought came to him and they were like, hey, you know, we'll put Sam through Stanford and we'll get him a really good job if you come and do this. So while I never explicitly say if they are hunters or not, but Sam is a lawyer. Sam is not a hunter. Dean might be.
Definitely different class, I guess. Like I think the classism is kind of evident, you know, like in this too. Like, you know, he doesn't really have a lot of choice. Is he getting compensated for it? I can't remember. Does he get some sort of compensation for this, or is it just basically it's just a blackmail situation?
No, I don't think he does. Okay. Apart from he gets medical care when he gets injured at Vought.
Thank God. Yeah. Well, because they need him. So yeah, they're going to make sure that happens. So yeah, I think the scenario is they need somebody that can sort of like measure up and not that he can meet Soldier Boy at that physicality level, but it's a
compatibility issue. It's a compatibility thing between like, you know, a compatible alpha to Soldier Boy's Omega. And yeah, they kind of bring Dean in under the guise of, we'll see Sammy right through, and you know, I kind of like, you get the idea that maybe they didn't have a lot of money at the time. So he's kind of just like, well, like, you don't say no to Vought anyway, but they've kind of dangled this carrot that he can't refuse in front of him.
Yeah.
And when that's done, and when Sam is through school and, you know, in place with this really prestigious law firm, they were like, just a sign of the paper, we can make Sam disappear real fucking quick. You know, you got to keep towing the line. Yeah. So they kind of just keep him, you know, keep him dangling on the strings with the the premise that if he rebels, they will just off Sam and there's nothing he can do about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The characterization in this is really good. And I like that. I mean, it's basically just around it's around this one heat cycle in particular. And Dean's sort of like, it's the background as he's getting ready to go in, talking about how he got there. And then I think the dynamics too of like, how he goes through this every 6 months, as you said, where he knows the routine and he's got like certain people that, he has to interact with along the way. So you feel like there's this sort of like, oh, you again, let's do like this kind of situation. And then, like it's like a 12-hour thing where it's like, okay, well, see you in 12 hours. It's like, what the security guard or whatever is telling him, like, good luck. Hopefully you don't break anything this go around or whatever. But then gets into the situation with Soldier Boy, and there's so much scenery chewing, I feel like, which is it's interesting from both their, like they both go at it in different ways. Like Dean has this way about him anyway in general, and I think you sort of like the smart aleck, the sass, but then him knowing that in this situation, at the end of the day, even though Soldier Boy could basically kill him at any moment, he is going to give in. And I think there's that, that's that, like, that burst of, I've got the upper hand in this, even though it's a very dangerous situation. I'll still get it in the end. Like, I'll be the one that he has to submit to. And I think you really, like, when you talk about subverting, like, you really get to show Soldier Boy in a light that I don't think a lot of people would get the opportunity to experience. And I think it's a really good one. Is there a certain point, like, when did you when you said bend over, I'm not kidding, did you know how soon that was probably going to like fall into your writing, or you just like, I'm just going to see when it's going to like pop in or whatever?
No, I was just writing dialogue. I was just writing dialogue for that because I like I said, I'm such a huge proponent of the, what if it just bends a little? What if you just a little bit, So the idea of the soup, the powerful one being the Omega and being a slave to his biology, I was like, I could have written Dean is the Omega and Soldier Boy is the Alpha, and there's 1,000 fics out there to the tune, not necessarily with Soldier Boy and Dean, but I think there's only 5 of us that have written Soldier Boy and Dean on AO3. We're a very niche club, guys. But I'm always interested in subverting those kind of expectations, and I really like what I'd seen of Soldier Boy. What I'd seen of Ben is this: he's so insecure, in the show,
so in time, right? Like I almost feel like he has this very outdated version that I don't think he can get out of, even in his head.
Yeah.
Even though he's been around forever, he's still very much, I think, got a 40s, 50s mentality. And even like, you just see that it hasn't really progressed, even though he's been around for a while. And I think that's very interesting to play with too, considering that character here, like having to be, like you said, just he's at his own biology's whim, not any, at the end of the day. And that's very interesting to play with.
Yeah. And there's a scene in season 3 of The Boys, and it's after Soldier Boy's just beating that soup to death with his shield. And he's with Huey. And Huey says something about having PTSD, or that Soldier Boy has PTSD. And Soldier Boy slaps him and says, "Fuck you, I don't have shell shock." I may be paraphrasing the line. But no, I think it is "fuck you, I don't have shell shock." But yeah, no, he responds very negatively to this implication that there is something mentally wrong with him. Not that there's anything, like, not that having PTSD makes there something mentally wrong, but it is a mental condition.
I think to him, he sees it as a weakness.
He sees it as a weakness.
Yeah.
And that, that kind of instant denial of "fuck you, there's nothing wrong with me," really stuck with me.
Yeah.
And when you actually watch Soldier Boy, especially in the scenes with Crimson Countess as well, and you can see that he is fucked up by what's happened to him, but he's never going to admit that. He's going to front it out until the end, like hardcore.
Yeah.
So that that was something I wanted to play with, because
There's
I was
so
like,
much fronting in this for so long.
he is literally, Soldier Boy wants nothing to do with this. He's disgusted with himself, that he's an Omega, that he goes into heat, that he needs this. You know, I had this idea that he wouldn't be able to just submit. He would fight. So then Dean has to make him submit. And obviously Soldier Boy is stronger than Dean. So Dean's going to have to get cruel. He's going to have to be mean. And that's the stuff that Dean says. Oh God, I felt awful writing it. So awful. And they fight, they like physically fight, but then it just, you know, it's so like Dean gets the physical upper hand, if you will. Like, I didn't reinvent the wheel, anything Omegaverse here, you know. It's kind of considered that the way I've written it is like your Omega is within you, but a separate, almost like a separate identity to you, but very like hindbrain, like a beast within you, Ditto and Alpha. So Soldier Boy wants to keep fighting, but the proximity to Dean, to an alpha, to those pheromones, his Omega submits whether he wants it to or not, you know? So that gives Dean the physical upper hand. And then Soldier Boy breaks his nose, calls him a bitch, and Soldier Boy headbutts him and breaks his nose. So then Dean's fucking pissed. So then he's mean, you know, and it ends like the sex ends with Dean being incredibly cruel and saying that, you know, kind of like just making jabs about Soldier Boy, like, you know, on his knees, begging for a knot, begging to be bred. And then it's kind of just like a spark goes off in Dean's head, and it's just like, hey, you know, I've been fucking you for 10 years. I've never got a daddy call. Like, can you breed? Are you broken? You know, and it ends with Dean being like, God, you know, you're a fuck up as a soup being an Omega, you're a fuck up as an Omega being barren, you know, I wouldn't want your life, kind of thing. And that's kind of like that's kind of like the last thing they said before the sex ends. And I really wanted to leave it there. I did. I've really wanted it to be this mean, nasty, like throwing punches and like verbal punches, and this really fucking mean, nasty. And then Dean just kind of like walked into my head and was like, you know, when they break the fourth wall in TV shows and someone knocks on the camera and it just goes, tuk, tuk, tuk. Dean kind of did that in my brain, and it was like, tuk, tuk, tuk. No, fucking no. So then I was like, yeah, all right, that seems fair.
Yeah.
So there's this scene, the scene afterwards. Like I said, I'm not reinventing the Omegaverse wheel here. After the first knot, the Omega is basically semi-conscious, and they just need like the physical stimulation of a knot, a steady supply of alpha cum, just to keep like break the heat, basically. But it's the first time is the violent submission. I mean, it doesn't have to be violent, but it is for them. The first time is the submission, and then after that, it's just a physical exercise at that point. And then we're in Dean's head, and he's sick with what he said and what he's done, and he fucking hates it. It's kind of like this shift from the Dean that he presents to Soldier Boy, kind of back to my Dean, our Dean, where he's sick at what he said and what he's done and how much he fucking hates coming to do this. But then trying to think that maybe he's giving something, because he stays like with Soldier Boy, and he keeps like, it's 12 hours that he has to be locked in this room, and he stays, and he just skin to skin just touches Soldier Boy as much as he can, because Dean is like semi-clothed, and just tries to just like leave a nicer impression, something nice for Soldier Boy, because like, and it's an impression that you get in the show as well, that nobody gets close to Soldier Boy. There is no kindness in his world.
Right. Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'd pulled over with this. So Dean's just trying to just leave something with Soldier Boy, just a little bit of good to offset all of the bad that he's done and said. And he kind of comforts himself that he's not a bastard. He tries, like, he would be kind if Soldier Boy would accept it, but the first time he tried, I think he broke both his arms and he's got a metal plate in his face now.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
you know, he couldn't, he tried to be kind, but there was no space for it. So now he does what he has to do. And then he tries to give that kindness when, you know, he's not going to get punched in the face. And then it's just, yeah, he waits out those 12 hours, he leaves. And the last kind of thing we get of Dean there is him saying that Vought better pay for it, like Vought better get him a doctor to reset his fucking nose because he's really pissed about it. I don't know why he was so fixated on it. I think it's because we never actually saw Dean with a broken nose. And it's, I'm real proud of the way it happened, really proud of it, because it really does, like, it comes from nowhere. You think Soldier Boy's like settling down, he's getting somewhere, and like Dean's just running his mouth, and then it's just smack.
Yeah.
But I couldn't leave it there. So then just for a very brief period of time, we stay with Ben, who is now under Vought lockdown.
Right.
And that is a distinction that I make, a literary distinction, that it's Omega when Soldier Boy is conscious and fighting, it's Omega. Then after he's semi-conscious, in Dean's mind, it's Ben. And then, no, it isn't. No, in Dean's mind, it's Soldier Boy. And then as he leaves, he calls him Ben. And it's like this moment of connection. And then we sit with Soldier Boy for just a little while. He's still under Vought lockdown for his heat. And he's pissed about this. Like, they won't let him drink or get high or fuck anything. He's just stuck in this fucking room. And he's watching the video feed of what's happened and just watching it back. And then he cuts it off after the first knot, and he like falls semi-conscious. And he's like, he can't watch that, but he can't watch this alpha be kind to him, because then he's going to have to go and kill him. And then that's going to be a problem, because then Vaught's going to need to find a new alpha. It's going to be a fucking issue. So he cuts it off. And then he sends Dean almost like a double speak email, which is just, my God, you suck. Fucking step it up, dickhead. And just for the very last paragraph, we go back to Dean, and Dean reads it as the thank you that it is. Because I couldn't leave them hating.
Yeah.
You know? So it's,
no, I think too, because I was reading some of the comments too that people were giving you on it. Masawina, but I think it's what you were talking about too. This was so good in every single way. Love the concept of Dean's alpha pheromones weakening Soldier Boy like some sort of biological kryptonite. Supernatural Soldier Boy crossovers need to become a thing.
Yep.
And then there was one from BJ. Of course, Soldier Boy would despise having submissive needs. He despises all of his needs. Of course, Dean would hate prostituting himself. Of course, his protective nature would surface when it was safe. It all fits together beautifully. LP Collins, they are just so hot together. It's insane. But at the same time, Dean wanting to take good care of Ben, and Ben deep down appreciating him for it, drives me absolutely nuts. It's perfect. It's them. Amazing work. So you did good. You did a good job with this one.
Proud of that one.
Yeah. No, it's really very good. Really good. I like it when you get the character. I think you always do. I think that's why I like your stuff so much, because a lot of people don't. Like getting into the character part of it is really, really good. Because it doesn't have to be a lot, right? Sometimes it's just a word or a phrase or a change, like you said. Even in this AU about Dean and Soldier Boy, for me, is still hard to wrap my head around, because I think even though he presents himself as very binary, there's still a lot to him that's really hard to unpack and want to understand. He makes it hard, at least for me. I don't find him to be a very sympathetic character at all. So I think you kind of break that down a little bit more, not necessarily even much, but just enough to see where his mindset is. And, the fact that he is in fact he's a prisoner of Vought in a lot of respects. It has been for a very long time. And it's kind of like, what does it mean to be the first Soldier Boy, the first guy that has all of these powers that, then survives, pretty much almost a century. It's like that. I don't know that some people say, oh, like I would love to be immortal, but would you though? Like, what would that mean in hindsight? And what would you have to deal with and go through, and then to be all powerful but not really have any power. I think it's an interesting thing, I think,
Yeah.
that you explore. I think
He's an interesting character, and I didn't want to take him out of who he is
Mm-hmm.
and make him this sympathetic character, because I agree
Right.
with Sandra, he's not. He's
Mm-hmm.
an absolute asshole. And it's like the things that he's been through are an explanation, not an excuse.
Mm-hmm.
He's been
Mm-hmm.
through some shit. Yeah, he absolutely has. But he is making no effort to deal with that. Again, like that Steen. Fuck you, I don't have shell shock.
Yeah.
He's making he's like, there's nothing wrong with me. You know, like Principal Skinner meme? Is it me that's wrong? No, it's the kids that are wrong. You know, am I out of touch? No, the kids are wrong. It's very much that kind of like, no, everyone else is the problem. I'm perfect.
Mm-hmm.
That I didn't want to take away from that. And I couldn't make Dean too cruel. He is cruel, but it's a front, you know? Like my Dean, the Dean that lives in my head, was like, no, don't do that. And like just refused to let me leave it there. Like there had to be some kind of, I couldn't leave it there. There had to be some kind of, you know, something after, something that says that even though Soldier Boy hates that this is happening to him, hates his own biology, that he doesn't hate Dean. He appreciates, like, my whole thing for Soldier Boy was like animals that like compete for mating rights. Females want, I mean, obviously different animals want different things, but as an evolutionary trend, females want the strongest, the biggest, the whatever. They're looking for good evolutionary traits to pass down. So my idea was that if Soldier Boy found someone that could fight him and make his Omega submit, he could just about accept that. And that's what this is. He hates this so much, but that he can say to himself, I fought and I was overpowered by this alpha, and it is right that I submit to the stronger mate. And he could kind of reconcile that in his brain, you know, instead of anything else would have felt like, honestly, like a non-con scene, like a rape scene. And I really didn't want it to be that.
Right. Yeah.
So that was important. And then just to have Soldier Boy send this email that is really fucking proud of that email. So proud of it. That's really like, it really is like, then you fucking suck. That was terrible. Good Christ. Fucking get it together, Winchester. Bring your fucking A game next time. You know, and that, you know, like that reassurance of next time, like that he will accept Dean again. You know, and that they have this kind of uneasy balance.
A push and pull. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, they're treading carefully, but he appreciates the effort that Dean is putting into this.
Gotcha.
Because realistically, all Dean is mandated to do by Vought is show up and not Soldier Boy. He doesn't have to do the extra.
Right. Yeah.
But Soldier Boy appreciates that. But he can't say that because
it's
Soldier Boy.
Yeah,
so he sends a really wanky email that I am stupid proud of.
You know, it's very good. It's very good. I think right out of the gate for you to go that way was just like, look, I'm here, I'm doing this thing, but it's going to be a lot different than anything you're expecting.
I've come to invade. Sorry, lads. Yeah. That's
and I really love the title because it's not, but like the K is in parentheses. So I like just sort of the double meaning, you know, that kind of infers to. So I think the title in and of itself is really good.
Credit for the title goes to Runaway Dreamer.
But it's good. It's good. I really like it. I really like it. So switching gears, I think we could go into the next one that you've just sort of completed that we talked about.
Finished. Yeah.
By the time this episode goes out, it'll be out. But you're getting like the final. You're prettying it up now. You're putting all the little, make sure everything's just right.
It's ready to be beta. There were some kinks that needed to be worked out. And we've hopefully worked those out now. And it's going to go for like a spag and stuff like that beta. But we were working on it yesterday. Jima was very tired. and I was very tired. And then we were doing other stuff afterwards, and she was just like, I just need to, like, I just can't look at this anymore. Like, it doesn't make sense to me anymore. So, but she was, as always, invaluably helpful. But you remember, like, about half an hour ago when I was like, RPF just gives me, like, I don't know, I just have reservations about it, man. I don't know. But then before that, I was like, I really want to pair Jensen and Dean, right? But RPF gives me, yeah, well, you see, the thing about that is, my second fill is for You Fed My Demons, You Created Mine. And that is a Jensen cross demon Dean fic. And the only way that I could make that work in my head is for it to be an entirely fictional version of Jensen Ackles. So it is, not only is an AU in that supernatural crossing over to the real world, it's an AU within an AU. This is not a remotely real life Jensen Ackles, and I have to make that clear. And I will be writing a author's note to the same thing that is like, this is in no way linked to the real Jensen Ackles. So I have made him single. In this fic, there is no mention of his real life wife or children because I couldn't do that. I was like, oh, no. But yeah, the premise of this one is character bleed, which I always think is really interesting. Anyway, character bleed. What if after filming Demon Dean just didn't leave? Just stuck around in Jensen's head? What would that look like? What would that be like? And the initial idea that I had for this is not what it has turned into. This always happens to me. I don't even know why I bother to write bullet points anymore, because inevitably my characters go, lol, no. No, we're not doing that, shut up. But so this is a two-parter, because this is chapter 1, and I'm going to pair this with the prompt, I told you I'd never let you go.
Okay.
And I kind of had to reverse engineer this, because I had this really solid idea for that one. And that's going to be Jensen and regular Dean, and it's set after You Fed My Demons, and it's kind of like Dean is coming to soothe Jensen and be like, I told you I'd never let you go, like, I'm here, it's okay, you know, which I'm actually really interested to see what Kim thinks of that, because I bet that wasn't what she was expecting me to do with that prompt, because that lends to very much like kidnapping, you know. So for me to take that and go, what if it just bends a little? I'm interested to see what she thinks.
I immediately got just all squishy feelings about that when you said that, like Jensen and Dean. Like, you know, it feels comforting to me.
Yeah,
in a lot of ways for both of them. You know, for Jensen taking care of Dean, and how you're going to do it, which is going to, like, you know, switch it a little bit too, which I think is, because to me it's always like, you know, Jensen holding Dean, keeping him safe and not forgetting about him situation. So I like that idea. So I think that'll be really nice.
Like pulling from things that Jared and Jensen have said about, you know, like when they make posts for their birthdays and you're like the best imaginary friend a guy could have, and stuff like that. And there's this real genuine love for these characters, even though they are fictional, that I think we all in the fandom understand. It's not, maybe not the same kind of love that Jared and Jensen have for Sam and Dean respectively, but we all understand that very real love towards a person,
right? Yeah.
Even though that person is not actually a person. So that's like that I haven't started work on yet, but I had the idea for that really solid, that something has happened and Dean is coming to soothe and ease and comfort and remind Jensen that he will not ever be alone in anything that he faces. He has always got his buddy Dean, which, now that I've spelled that out, kind of sounds a little bit like mental illness, but we're just gonna hand wave that over to Sandra. We're just not even gonna look at it.
No, that's fine. I don't think we're good. Fine. We're good. Yeah.
We're just even if we're not good, we're not gonna look at it, and you can't make us. So that's what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
But in order to have something for Dean to soothe, I had to have something to fuck up first. And y'all know I love having something to fuck up. You know that I love having something to fuck up. So I had this idea that Jensen was going to start having these really like creepy, fucked up dreams about Demon Dean, and they were going to like freak him out and like make him feel really weird and really uncomfortable. And when I started to write that, I found it going in a similar kind of way to the things that Dean was saying to Soldier Boy, and not, and you know, just kind of like, oh, you're the big man out there in front of the cameras, and what are you in here? You know, you're on your knees begging for me. So then I pulled too hard in the other direction and really fucked it. And then I was like, oh, I have to take so much of this out now, dicks. But what I ended up with actually was not in any way what I thought I was going to end up with. But the basic premise is Jensen has this character bleed with Demon Dean. And I don't know if I'm using character bleed properly, but Demon Dean kind of like takes on a life of his own inside Jensen's mind in his dreams. And they're sex dreams, because I don't write stuff that doesn't have sex in it. Sorry, guys. But what is actually happening is Demon Dean's kind of like manipulating Jensen, like fucking with his mind to like undermine him, and kind of just like plant this idea that
makes him doubt himself, makes him doubt that he's good or worthy of, like, you know, I feel like anything that he's even doing at the time, you know, like it's just shit, you know, like that kind of thing. Yeah, that other voice in your head, right? That kind of always undermines you. I feel like that's what Demon Dean is for Jensen in this story. Like, you know, just constantly questioning your worth, your value, and stuff like that.
That anxiety voice, the crazy brain voice. And, you know, like just kind of tempting Jensen, like, oh, wouldn't it be better if you just stay here with me? Don't worry about all that. You know, this is where you're supposed to be, you know, really, really bringing him down to like an object, really objectifying him, that he's just, you know, a pretty face, a pretty body to be fucked. And it like really gets inside Jensen's head, and it starts causing problems on set and things like that. I don't know how much I want to spoil of the ending of this.
I don't think you want to necessarily spoil too much of it, but I feel like that gives sort of like the feel of what the story is about, because I do think that it's a very interesting ending, and I don't think you necessarily want to spoil it for anybody just yet. But I know you were getting a lot of comments and thoughts from Dreamer and myself in your doc and stuff like that, and I know that it just kind of, I think Demon Dean, even though he's very, like I said, he kind of just goes for the jugular in a lot of ways, but he also makes it very inviting to just let go, give it all over to somebody else to take care of. And I think that's how you can kind of sort of see where, you know, people, I know I think I have, like, to some extent too, like you kind of like you escape, and it's like, well, the real world isn't, sometimes it's too much, and wouldn't it be nice to just escape into my own fictional brain, you know, for a while. And I think that really hits home with what Jensen, and I think it's interesting too, because I think a lot of people, because Jared is so very vocal and talks about, you know, his sort of, like you said, he doesn't call it a struggle. He lives with, you know, the things he goes through mentally. Like he's learned to sort of like, you know, incorporate it into part of his being and not see it as necessarily like it's just how he's built. And I feel like Jensen, at least what we hear of him, you know, what he talks about, like, I don't think he doesn't give that impression, or he makes people think that it's not a thing. And I'm, you know, the man's human. So at some point, you know, there is going to be that's quote unquote struggle. You know, I feel like that he deals with maybe differently, in a way that the veneer doesn't get cracked maybe as easily, or something that people will pick up on. So I don't know if it's just that he's really good at just internalizing all that shit, which isn't necessarily, I think, a good thing, because I think eventually it does, you know, you break under pressure like that. So I think this is an interesting way to look at it. And in terms of the acting and the characterization, the character bleed, like I almost consider it, a lot of people get very method when they act. It's method acting, where they just incorporate, you know, the character into them, and sometimes they can't let that character go. I don't know if, it doesn't seem like it to me. It doesn't seem like Jared or Jensen are very method. I just think they are able to tap into stuff.
Yeah, the way they talk The way they talk is very much like Sam and Dean are separate entities from them. It doesn't seem like it get taken over. But what I was pulling from is mostly Jared, like clips and stuff that I'd seen of, you know, him saying how difficult like Samafer was for Jared to get into, Soulless was for Jared to get into, and mentions of particular scenes that have made Jensen kind of have to just go walk it off. So while I personally have never heard Jensen say, oh, I really struggle with this, or I really struggle with that, I just kind of I said to Dreamer, this is the most fictional thing I've ever written, because I'm making up like things from real life.
Right. Yeah.
But I was just kind of extrapolating that, you know, like Demon Dean probably was like a kind of difficult headspace for Jensen to get into. But yeah, no, so it's all very fictional. I extrapolated a lot from things that Jared had said, but it's actually really fun to write and really fun to, you know, just like pepper in little like Easter eggs about how after Soul Survivor, Jensen could like style his hair properly and stuff, and just making reference to the sex scene that happens at the start of season 10, and it was awkward to film, and the fight scene with Cole, and that was awesome to film, and you know, just little bits of like real life that I got to put in this fic and be like, they happened, this is true. That was really, really fun to write. Demon Dean is always fun to write for me. I love writing him. I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and I was saying, you don't give Demon Dean words. He tells you what he's going to say when you write him, you know? Like I can tell Dean or Sam or whatever, hey, say this. And they might change it around, or they might not say it the way I want to say it, or somebody might have a different reaction to it. But I can give them, you know, half a dialogue. You don't do that with Demon Dean. You give him a space and he fills it with whatever he's going to fill it. So it's quite difficult to get a handle on a voice for Demon Dean if you're not used to that. So I'd started writing Demon Dean in Junkie, so I'm well used to dealing with that now. But it is always fun because I genuinely never know what he's going to say. I just give him a space and I go, it's all yours, baby. And he could come up with all kinds of shit, and I'm like, really? And he's like, yep, I fucking said it. We're committing to it now. So that is all. It's always fun to play with a character that you can push to the extremes and know that they're going to go with you. You know? Whereas I can't do that so much with regular Dean and Sam, because I'm always like, no, babies. Put them in little burritos and put them in piles of puppies, you know? Just like, no, they deserve to be loved. But there are certain characters like Demon Dean that you can just go all the way over that, and they'll just go, tell me when to stop, you know? And I just think that's really fun. I'm not going to spoil the ending of this, but there was a discrepancy in the comments about the ending of this, where I had seen it as one particular thing, and Sandra came along and read it first, and she's like, did I just see that I thought it was? I think I did, and it's fucking awesome. And I was like, yes, I nailed it. And then Dreamer came along and was like, I have seen something entirely different. And I was like, oh, nuts. So I did what I never do, and I sent the ending to my husband. And I was like, hey, can you read this and see if it reads like B? Let's say me and Sandra think it's A, and let's say Dreamer thinks it's B. So I sent it to my husband, and I was like, can you just read it? Does this read like B to you? And my husband does not read anything that I write. He does not read fanfic at all. But he's like, doesn't read fanfic at all, and he definitely doesn't read anything that I write. And he came back to me and he was like, yeah, I can see where she's coming from. And I was like, oh, fuck. Right, okay. Tits. So we had to tweak the ending a little bit, because, and I'm still kind of fucked up over that, because this will be out by the time, the fic will be out by the time this goes out.
Yeah, but I don't know if we want to have, if people haven't read it when they're listening to this, you know what I mean? If somebody hasn't read it yet, you know, I don't know if you want to like spoil that bit. No. It's up to you. Right. It's up to you.
No, it's okay. What I want y'all to do,
because I would like to know too who gets what out of it.
Well, you see, the thing is, it doesn't give that vibe anymore.
No,
because I've edited it.
But
what I want you to do,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what I want you to do is when you've read, and the fic is called Demon Dreams. No, it's not. The fic is called Dreams. The first chapter is called Demon Dreams, and then the second chapter will be called Dean Dreams, because I'm a sucker for a naming thing. What I want you to do is, if you're interested, leave me a comment or come talk to me in Discord or whatever, and be like, what was the thing that Dreamer saw?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you. So then it's not a spoiler, and I'm not going to spoil in the episode, but I'll tell you. Come and talk to me. Tell me what you see. Because me and Sandra were completely on the same page. We were like, fucking hell, that's awesome. I love this. And then Dreamer came in and was like, guys, if you just tilt your head a little bit, it's this. And I was like, oh. And I'm still kind of fucked up about this because, like, yeah, me and Sandra saw it as A. Or Dreamer, my husband, saw it as B. And the thing is, I don't feel like B is something you write accidentally. Do you agree with me, Sandra? Like, I'm fucked up on how you can accidentally write that and not see what you've written.
Okay, so I'm coming it from the angle of if you don't
need to have, but like you are aware of the concept of what that is.
Yeah,
I don't feel like don't hide behind. I've never even looked at that.
No, but I don't know I've never seen it. I've heard about it. I've never seen it, so I don't know.
Neither have I.
So I don't know if. I don't know. I feel like this is a thing where like you don't realize it until somebody points it out to you, but it doesn't necessarily mean you could have accidentally written it and not without again, to me, there's like a context issue with that. So I don't know. I don't know.
See, when I was talking to Dreamer and I was going, yes, but this, and like in my head, all of these different things added up to it was A, not B. And she was like, yeah, no, I see what you mean, but still, I get B vibes. And I was like, okay, well, let's amend that then. Because, I likened it to when I first published Blood Junkie, and I didn't tag it for, like, rape and non-con, and Dreamer and Sandra separately came to me and was like, hey, sweetie, it's fucking rape, yo. And I was like, no, it isn't. No, it's not. It's not rape. No, Sam is consenting by virtue of him being there. If he didn't want it, he would leave. And they were both like, I don't think that's how that works. So...
I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. That's a conversation that you've got to have within what you think is accidental, or if there was some meaning behind it that you haven't processed or not yet. Because I can't tell you. To me, I wouldn't have seen it unless it was brought up. It never would have crossed my mind that that's what that was.
No, yeah. Same. But then, so like. This was said to me, and like I take everything that Dreamer says to me, I may not agree with it, but I give it consideration because she's my buddy and she's my beta, and I am always open to any kind of constructive criticism. But then when I went and checked it with my husband, who has no knowledge of anything, and he was like, maybe. I was like, oh, okay, well, that's the rule of two now, so we shall have to amend that. But yes, when you listen to this, if you have not already read the first chapter of Dreams, go read it. And then leave me a comment, and then I will inform everybody of what A and B were, and then we can all have a nice little chat about it. Yeah, a nice little chat.
Yeah, it'll be interesting discussion for you to have with people that read it. So 2 down, 7 to go.
7 to go, hopefully.
Okay.
I think the next one I'm going to work on is Dean Dreams.
Okay.
That'll be, I told you I'd never let you go.
Yeah. Do you feel like that might, I mean, we can always say you think it's going to come easier and it won't. Do you feel like it's an easier, well, it probably isn't going to be an easier headspace, right? Because you're going to be like, I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
See what's going to happen with it.
I think it will be easier because I was trying to write backwards for Demon Dreams. I knew what I wanted for the Dean Jensen thing. I knew, like, I had the idea for that, but I had to fuck it up first. And that very rarely happens. Usually I fucked it up and then I go,
right.
It very rarely happens that it's unfucked and I have to go and fuck it up, Yeah. But now that I've established and I have a very clear idea of where Jensen is, what kind of headspace he's in, what's happening. And because it's me, because I'm me, I couldn't just have him fucked up in his head. Oh no, he's like fucked up in real life as well. He's like, no, it's fucked. So there's a fair few things that Jensen needs to deal with and Jensen needs to fix.
Okay.
That Dean can help with. So I'm touch wood, hoping Fingers
Okay.
crossed that that's going to be easy.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I have something else I have to work on before I do that. But
Mhm.
before we start talking about the something else I have to work on,
Mhm.
where are you with your bingo, Sandra? Talk to us about your bingo. I know this is my episode, but
Mm.
it would be weird if we didn't talk about yours because we're doing the same thing. Oh no, that's
What?
worrying.
I wasn't expecting that question. Hold on.
You don't have to answer it. We'll just cut it out.
No, I'm just thinking about what the
Okay,
heck am I working
talk
on?
about it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Sandra is doing the best fucking hat ship of all time, and you need to go and read all of it right now. Sandra is creating a little verse called Pets of Punks, and it's Priestley Rowena. Priestley and Rowena. Jensen's finally getting a tiny, angry woman to dominate him. It's the best. Well, not Jensen, a Jensen character, because Jared has Jen. And while Daniil is small compared to Jensen, it's not quite the same vibe. But also, like in canon, I will die on the hill that Sam, Jody, and Rowena. Sam has tiny, small women that would dominate the fuck out of him.
Mhm.
Jody would put a strap on and fuck that boy until he saw God. I'll die on that hill. I will go down with that ship, I swear to God. And also Rowena. But there was never anybody like that for Dean.
Mhm.
There was never, now he's got one.
Well,
Now he's got one. I mean, it's not Dean, but it's a Jensen character. And I think it fits. Dean and Rowena did not have the same kind of relationship that Sam and Dean had. I don't think that Sam and Rowena had. You couldn't have done this with Dean, but you could do it with Priestley.
Mm-hmm.
And you did. And it's the Priestina. It is my new pet ship. Everyone should go read it. Talk about Priestina.
Well, I think it came about kind of just out of the blue anyway. I think we were actually talking about I think it was during the
we were talking about
we were talking about it. I think the Bangos stuff. And I think we started talking, I don't know how we got on the topic, but we got on the topic of like Huey from The Boys and the Queen Maeve line.
No, it's because we were talking about Priestley's shirts.
Yeah.
We were talking about all the different shirts that Priestley wears.
And
because they're all like
that came up.
Slogan shirts. Yeah.
And so Queen Maeve says, love that. Raw dog me, I'm a bottom. And I was like, oh, that might actually be fun, to put on a t-shirt.
Priestley would wear that shit.
For Priestley. And so then that just kind of got me thinking more about the dynamic. I think of like, well, what situation, what about this character kind of lends itself to the fact that I think he really just wants to be loved and taken care of. And I think he wants to be accepted for who he is deep down. And I think even though he can be very showy, he's just very unsure of himself and he's finding his place. And I think that goes along in terms of relationships. And I think that, in Tenenchiro, it's Priestley and Tish get together. And we've talked about neither one of us, even though Kasey hasn't seen the film, I've heard from a lot of people, they don't like the fact that Priestley changes for Tish, for the acceptance, for the opportunity. And I thought it would be interesting for some reason, I just thought, well, Rowena kind of would definitely, I think, has the upper hand in a lot of ways and would want to take advantage of a situation. But then what if she kind of has this little bit of a soft center for certain men? And I think she's shown that, I think, like in one instance with the one character that she kind of like gave the gift of living for a long life and all of those things. And I thought, well, what if there's another person like that kind of gets under her skin and she wants to take care of, because she's not necessarily very maternal in a lot of situations. But what if you kind of spin that in, she dominates and Priestley does actually want to be the one that's more submissive and just kind of is taken care of in some situations. So I kind of went into that mindset with, Rowena being her wonderful badass self and running across Priestley. And this was the hardest one because it was the 3-prompt thing that you were talking about with your bingo, and I got flirtation, whiskey, a mistaken as you. I was like, what the fuck am I gonna do with that? I'm like, that makes absolutely no sense. So I think I was talking to you about it, and I think we kind of just like went back and forth with some voice chats, and they kind of fell together as to how to make all of those pieces work. And I actually went back and I asked Kim, I said, does it have to happen in that order? And she was like, no, it doesn't have to happen in that order. I'm like, okay, good. I think I can figure this out. So it ended up being really fun to write them both. And so far I've got 2. I've got 2 down. My plan is to use 2 more of my squares for them. So I'm starting to figure out the next bit now in my head. And so there's still going to be a little bit more plot. There has to be, I think, for the online romance square to get filled. But I am sort of like leaning into a little bit more of the character of Rowena caring for him more than she wants to. And I think that kind of sort of like screwing up her plans a little bit situation. This is where I'm going with this, because I know season 10, she kills the thing she loves the most without hesitation for this spell to work. I kind of feel like if we're going along the lines of this Priestley Rowena thing, Priestley might have been the first time when she hesitated and dealt with the repercussions. So I kind of feel like this is sort of like her not doing that again, however many years later in season 10. So that's kind of like my feeling as to how I can wrap myself around this. And there's also going to be sex at the end that I think, I've got to sort of like work into in a particular way. So it'll be interesting. But yeah, I think that's kind of where I'm going with that. I think I've got a couple, like I said, I really want to try to attempt Soldier Boy, but he just seems, I can't make him fluffy and I don't want to make him fluffy. So that to me is a challenge, because I don't want to make him fluffy and I don't find anything redeeming about him. So he's a hard character to want to write for. But yeah,
whereas I am an enormous fan of writing assholes.
It's not that I don't know. It's a kind of like how you're basically being pushed out of the Wincest, right? Like, like what your, I don't want to say comfort zone is, but like what you like to write. So I kind of think I have to attempt a Soldier Boy at some point for a couple of these, just for me, as a challenge. So I think I'm still not really sure. Like I want to do a fun one where he's in it, but him and other characters are in it. It's not anything too deep. But yeah, I would like to try to do a drabble for something. I don't know what yet. Yeah, and I have a free space, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 9 done out of my 25. So
Sandra's used a few of hers for rinse. You've done in your wash, rinse, repeat series. You've done a couple of
I did some Beau Arlen stuff, which was fun, just because it was
if you don't look good, we don't look good, and
yeah,
Beau stuff. Yeah.
Dean's are just kind of fun ones. I feel like, because he's just a fun. So I'm trying to use the fun ones. I think. Well, Hard Boot wasn't fun. It was admitted, but it wasn't. It wasn't horrible either. Like it wasn't like a too.
No,
it was a quick one. But yeah. So I think it's definitely. I think it's opened up my creativity a little bit more, so it's been fun. But yeah, I guess segueing that into
getting out of comfort zones to hopping right back in them.
Yeah. So whose idea was it?
Dreamers.
To do the okay, Dreamers. Okay. So yeah.
No, I checked this with her the other day because I was like, I don't know if it was me, because I genuinely couldn't remember, because that's the kind of thing I would do. I would be like, I'll do this, I'm dragging you guys along. But Dreamer says it was her. Dreamer said it was her that wanted to do the Wincest Big Bang. And I said, okay, if you sign up, I'll sign up with you. And she agreed with me. And then I said to Sandra, hey, we're doing this thing, come join us. So then poor Sandra, who is endlessly patient with 97% of my bullshit, was like, yeah, all right. Yeah. And then me and Dreamer immediately went, oh, fuck no, we didn't think you'd say yes. You don't have to. Like, we are fully aware that Wincest is not your jam. Like, it's totally fine. And Sandra was like, no, I want to go for it. So I hopped straight back into my comfort zone. And Sandra, she'd gone from dipping a toe into it with our word challenge to like, she's got like at least 1 foot in there now. I'll get her in all the way. I'll get her in all the way. She'll be writing kinky fucking desired porn.
No. I like occasionally dipping my toe in. I leave this to the experts. This is something that the experts should handle all the time. So this is just fun.
I've never been an expert in anything.
This is just fun. This is just fun to, I think, attempt and try for, because I'll be honest, I just want somebody to do some art for something that I'm that I'm writing, and I feel like this is a bigger pool of opportunity for that. So I think I'm embracing the challenge because I also want to see what someone will draw based off of what I've written. And I did like the Dean Winchester Big Bang, which is really small. It didn't require a lot. This one also, it doesn't have to be really long. It could be 5 or it could be over 10K. And the requirement for that is what, like, if it's 5K, you'll get 1 piece of art. If it's over 10K, you'll get 2 pieces. So I'm really trying for 10 because I want to get 2 pieces of art, which I think like we've talked about, I think I'll get there. So yeah, group baptism by fire. Yep, but for you, if we talk about, this is your first foray into this. What your first story idea has not gone to plan because
I never fucking do.
What were your concerns when you came up with the idea? And I don't know if you want to share what the idea is because I think you're going to finish it anyway. I am going to finish it. But my first, I didn't really have a thought, so I hit up Dreamer, who is my unofficial prompt dealer, and I was like, "Hey, give me a prompt for this," because she already had a fic in mind that she was going to do, and Sandra already had a fic in mind. She's like, "Oh no, I have an idea," and Dreamer had a plot in mind that she wanted to write, and I didn't really have anything. I could have written another installment of Junkies and submitted that, but it has to stand on its own. I think crossovers are only permitted if they can stand on their own, but like the work has to stand it has to be able to be read as a standalone if it's part of a series. I think that's kind of the premise. And at the time, I was not looking at Junkies. We weren't talking at the time, so I was like, "Fuck this! I'm not going to submit something in Junkies." So I hit up Dreamer and I was like, "Hey, give me a prompt." She didn't actually give me a prompt. What she gave me was a concept, and she was like, "Give me Sam and Dean meeting on a dating app, and give me sexting and phone sex and video sex, and just give me all the digital fucking that you can give me." And I was like, "Yeah, cool, I can do that." So I started writing it, and it became very apparent very quickly that if I don't have a conflict to resolve, I can't write shit anymore. I used to write nice things. I was like, "This is nice." Yeah, but there's no conflict. Nice things can have conflict too. Nice. It's just not as earth shattering, but there can still be conflict.
I don't know. I had this end goal.
Is it because it was just fucking? Is that what it was? Like it was going to be happy fucking?
Fucking maybe. Fucking maybe. Yeah. It turns out no. Turns out I need some kind of obstacle or conflict. And I knew where I was going to go, and I had these places that I wanted to. I've stopped trying to write actual plots anymore. I just want to hit these things. And if I can hit all these things, then I'll be happy. Because I've written enough fucking plots for Junkies that Sam and Dean have come along and gone, "Oh no," and just ripped them out and tossed them out the window of the Impala. I don't try anymore. So yeah, I started writing it. I actually ended up really struggling with basically opening with a sex scene, which I didn't think I would struggle with, but I did. But I managed to get through it. And I'm fucking such a chore. Good Christ. Then I had the idea how difficult it is to write Sam Winchester jerking off. Good Lord. Awful. Where's my Live Aid, bitches? Where's my Live Aid? Yeah. But I got through that. And then I found myself inventing conflict that didn't really need to be there. And I just really wasn't vibing with it at all. And in addition to struggling with the lack of conflict, lol, I was very conscious that there would be art for this. And I felt like my story wasn't going to lend itself well to art because it was mostly digital. And I was like, what are they going to draw? Sam texting in his room? What is, because you again, with the bingo, it doesn't have to be explicit. It can be any maturity rating. And there's no guarantee that the person that claims your submission is a not safe for work artist. They might not want to do that. Right. And I felt like I wasn't giving enough in between the porn, so to speak. So I'm creating this imaginary conflict with Sam that was honestly ridiculous. It is ridiculous. I'm probably going to try and see it through just so I can have Dean smack him at the side of the head and be like, "What's wrong with you? But it was unrelated Winchesters. That was what was going with that. It was unrelated Winchesters. But yeah, and I just really wasn't.
You weren't
vibing.
You were finding it was. I guess I remember you're like, I just don't see finding it hard to find the artist point of view, like how to create like that thing that would really like grab somebody's attention and go, oh, this is what I want. I could see this scene. I want to write this scene, kind of a situation. I feel like is what you kept kind of hitting that wall when you kept talking about it. So I'm glad that so when did you decide to switch? And then what are you switching to, if you want to talk a little bit about it? You don't have to, but
no, I will.
Because we've got some schedules, like we've got some deadlines too that we're approaching, where we're at the point now where I think it's in beginning of June, we have to submit like a summary for the artists. I can't remember.
Summaries, warnings, and rough drafts are due. And the rough draft has to be at least half of your word count for the size of the bang you chose. So we're not panicking, but we're panicking a little bit.
Because we have like, what, a couple weeks for that? Okay. Yeah.
At time of recording, it is the 18th of May. So I actually decided to change this up after the second author check-in. So I'd said that I was going to do a big bang, which is 10K, because you can do a mini bang, which is 5K. I'd said I was going to do a 10K, and I could have downgraded at any time, but I still said no. I'm going to do this 10K, and I've got like 2,000, just over 2,000 words on my original fic. I just wasn't doing it at all, and I was like, I don't think I'm going to have 50% of this done by the time the 1st of June rolls around. So, in and amongst all this, there is a fic that I have been working on, but I started it last year. And again, it was a dream prompt. I tell you, she's my unofficial prompt. She's my unofficial prompt dealer. And I just go to her when I'm like, I don't really, like, I want to write something, but I don't really, because I have like quite a few whips and Junkies is always fucking present in my mind. But I was just like, I don't want to write anything that I have or that I'm working on, and I've looked at my list and nothing's grabbing my attention. You got any prompts or something for me? I think we've both been reading similar kind of works to this effect. But she was like, what about gender fluid Dean? And I was like, what about gender fluid Dean? Fucking hell. So probably brief segue. Gender fluid is a gender identity. Gender fluid means that you ascribe to the binary gender system, which is like male, female. So like Sandra ascribes to that. I do not. But it means that you move between those 2 points.
Right.
And you don't, like, Sandra is a cis woman, so she is on like that end of the binary scale, if you will. Someone who is gender fluid can be assigned either male or female at birth, or intersex, but they don't feel a strong connection to either of the binary genders, and they kind of just move between them. So some days they'll feel more masculine and some days they'll feel more feminine. And it has absolutely nothing to do with your assigned sex at birth, and it has nothing to do with your sexuality, that it is a gender identity. So little LGBTQ plus lesson aside, Dreamer was like, what about gender fluid Dean? And I was like, talk to me. What about gender fluid Dean? Tell me. So yeah, this was just an out of nowhere prompt, and we went through some things because there's a lot of like gender fuckery fics, I guess, and I'm not including trans Sam or trans Dean fics within that because that's separate in my mind. But like let's say playing with gender, and there are some kind of tropes that come with that, and some that me and Dreamer are into, and some that me and Dreamer are really not into. So we kind of hashed out the details of yes, this, no, that. Hang on, I have notes. That is the wrong notes. I was like, I'm ready. Shit, that's the wrong notes. Hang on. So I have notes, y'all. Fucking ready for this one. So I have a big ass list of yes, this, no, this. I think actually this is the kind of this might actually be the initial prompt. I love the idea of Dean being gender fluid to any degree, and when he's having his femme days, he's just so fucking delicate. He wants to be talked to softly and treated softly and fucked softly. And Sam is here for it. He's so supportive and tuned into Dean. And Dean does make those girly noises and loves being told how Femi looks and sounds. And just so squishy love. Could never be more perfect, soul-consuming, devastating love, you know? Oh, sigh. You know, so that I think that like I've copied that verbatim, so that's clearly come from somewhere. Yeah, so we kind of like hashed out the details, and I just set off with it like mid back end of last year.
And how far did you get?
I'm 10k. It's 10k words plus more than 10k words at the moment. Okay, so I got fairly into it. As so often happens, I reach what I call a natural stopping point, and then my brain goes, "And we're done." And I was like, "Wait, no, what? Fuck."
Does the dopamine run out?
Yeah, it might do. It might do.
Okay.
But I think what might have happened is that around that time, Junkies might have like come knocking again because it fucking keeps doing that. And it, I don't know, it might have been around the time me and you were doing our challenge as well. For whatever reason, I ended up leaving it at like on a significant cliffhanger. Actually, it was around the time I was doing different things, and like I said, Junkies probably came back knocking because that's been a year in the fucking making. And I just put it down, and I was like, I'll come back to that. Like I had like I've got a list, I've got notes, I know what I'm doing. So while I'm trying to like hash out this bang fic and try and make something out of it,
stuff it into something that it wasn't, basically. Yeah.
Just trying to form something that is, you know, maybe not ready to be formed or doesn't want to form the way I think it should, or, you know, like we're not sure what's happening with that at the moment.
Yeah.
This fic came back into my head. Like I don't know if this is like this for you, Sandra, but when I have whips and stuff, occasionally I'll just wander into my head and go, "Aya, do you remember me?"
We've talked about how we're very different.
really inconvenient.
The only no, because I could say I do have thoughts and things, but they don't. Yeah, I don't put them down until I think, okay, I'm ready for this idea. So, and I think you write down your ideas where I'm like, no, I don't want to give it attention until I put it down, and then it's time. Yeah.
Sometimes they have to get out of my head. It's just sometimes it just have to be taken out of my head. So, and you know what usually happens is I'll be writing something else, and I'll have a thought, and I'll be like, that doesn't fit here, but you know where it does fit. And then another whip will come on, and I'll be like, hello, it's me. This fits great with me, and I'm like, fuck. I only have so many brain, and if we could pick one thing, but yeah, this came back into my head, and I mentioned it to Dreamer, and mentioned it to Sandra. Really, really not feeling this. And then Sandra doesn't know anything about this fic apart from, I think I told you I was writing something to do with gender fluid, and I was like, you're gonna love it. He's so fucking soft. It's great. So I'd spoken to Dreamer, who obviously knows a lot more about this fic, and I was like, I think I'm gonna change. You know, I think I'm gonna change, and I think I'm gonna work on that and submit that. So that is what I've decided to do. So I'm 10k into that, and now that I have filled the second bingo prompt, which the bingo isn't over until September, but I had to get that out of my head because it's been sitting in my whips for ages. And I was like, I had cleared Junkies, and I was like, I can clear this. Then it's fucking smooth sailing until the bingo's done. And then when the bingo's done, like my part of the bingo's done, I can come back to my part of the bang is done. Then I can come back to these bingo prompts, and I'll have a little bit more brain space, you know?
Right.
So this is what I will be working on before I go and write that Jensen Dean follow-up to Demon Dreams. So the premise that we have is, I've told you the kind of prompt. So it's we're looking from Sam's POV. So this is related Winchesters, and it is not AU. No, they definitely still hunt. I very rarely actually mention the hunting in anything because case fixes too much plot. You have to play NPCs in there. It's a thing. But yeah, so we start out pre-series. We start out with Teen Sam, just noticing that things are just a little bit different about Dean. And some days he's more normal, quote unquote, and then other days just a little softer, just a little bit more feminine. And Sam never really thinks anything about this, and it's just little bits of like just little things that Dean does on feminine days and on masculine days. And obviously Sam has no word for this, has no no, nothing for this. And obviously there are some hurt feelings. Sam says some things that very typical of teenagers who open their mouth before they've thought about things, and Dean's hurt and then get over it. And Sam leaves for Stanford. And John is not present. He is present, but I don't write him because John Winchester being my favorite thing, dead. Right?
No, it would just add. No, it's not necessary.
The thing is, though, he is, although he's not there,
he's present.
He's a presence.
Yeah, he's a presence, but you don't need to write that. Yeah, you don't need to write him present to know that his presence has had an effect on situations. Yeah,
it's more, John is more present in this fic than in anything else I write because his expectations shape Dean's behavior. And there's very much a secret that only Sam is privy to, and Dean only behaves this way when he's alone with Sam. You really get the idea that Dean is masking hardcore when John is around, and really so we're kind of going on this roller coaster with Dean through Sam's eyes. Sam goes to Stanford. Oh, that's really emotional. That's really emotional. Sam goes to Stanford. Dean comes and gets him. Dad's been on a hunting trip. Has come home in a few weeks. And everything with Jess, like it's canon adjacent, I would say. Not exactly divergent, but not compliant either. Like it's an AU, but you know what I mean? And then we go through, there's this drastic change in Dean when Sam comes back to how he was when Sam left. And Sam kind of being too wrapped up in his grief to realize what's actually happened, what he kind of left Dean with, what Dean has become in his absence. And then there's this really enormous blow up fight where a lot of things kind of click for Sam, because all the way through, again, we're looking through Sam's eyes, and all the way through there's been this kind of lingering attraction that he's just kind of refused to look at. And there's a lot of emphasis, a lot of distinction on that he's attracted to both sides of Dean, all sides of Dean. It's not distinct. And then, like I said, Sam comes back from Stanford and it's all fucked, and they have this really big blowout. And then things click for Sam then, and he kind of gets what has happened and like what he left Dean with and what Dean has had to do to survive being left with John, effectively. And where I am right now, we have Sam kind of desperately trying to make it up to Dean, and Dean's starting to, well, he's receptive to it, but he's kind of, the lines are blurring now. So I'm probably in the middle, and the lines are starting to blur now where Sam has accepted his love for Dean as in love with Dean, not just I love my brother, I'm in love with my brother. And he's getting signals from Dean that maybe Dean feels the same way. And we're literally just on the cusp of them kind of crossing those lines effectively.
Okay.
And there's various points still to hit. Yeah, so there's points to hit around like the intimacy between them, and Dean's feelings about being intimate on days when he feels more feminine, and Sam, again trying to coax him out of his shell and out from behind his, like, into lowering his walls and things like that. And it's very sweet and very soft.
Good. But
it's not all that. Like I said, there's moments of conflict, and there's this really big blow up in the middle that again is cruel, is mean. And then we go with Sam on this, oh my God, what have I done? Kind of journey, and desperately trying to, it's kind of like all the puzzle pieces fall into place for Sam, and he gets it then. And he gets like who Dean is and why Dean acts the way he does, and realizes that things he saw when they were teenagers, the way Dean would be with him and the way Dean would be with John, and seeing the mask that he would wear around John, and realizing that when he went to Stanford, Dean had nowhere to be safe, nowhere to take that mask off.
Right.
So when Sam comes back, Dean's just all armor, and then Sam kind of realizing that and trying to, you know, just break it down with Dean, but at a pace that Dean can accept and things like that. And Dean cries a lot. A lot. Dreamer was like, I would like Dean to cry, and I was like, I will make you regret that decision. You will regret that. One of the things that I'm really proud of is it's split into chapters, and the fic is entitled Sense of Home. And for each stage it's a different scent of Dean.
Okay.
So when before Sam leaves for Stanford, it's Sam's focusing on the softer, the more feminine food scents, caramel, vanilla, things like that. Things that stand out to him against the backdrop of having a teenage brother, you know? It's like things that stand out as different. And when he comes back, it's very hard, aggressive, masculine scents. You know, citrus, ginger, cedarwood, which is a lot sharper than sandalwood, which is lovely. And then they have this big blow up, and then Dean stops smelling like anything. All his hygiene products are just unscented. And it's so strange to Sam and so alien to not have this sensory impression of Dean, you know? So I'm really proud of it.
Good. No, it sounds like it's going to be a great read. So how far percentage wise are you done with it, do you think?
Maybe over 50%.
Okay.
Yeah. See, the thing is, I delete things from my timeline when I've done them, so I just have this big ass long timeline of things I need to do, but I don't know what I still have.
But usually you can get a sense as to where you're at, you know, like if you've kind of like hit that halfway marker, you know, where now you're getting into like maybe like there's still going to be like a little bit of like sort of like a climax and then a, you know, like a resolution sort of situation to the story. So are you thinking like 4 parts? Is that what it's sounding like to you?
We're currently in the unscented section, and then there's we're just about to move past that into another different scent.
So maybe 5.
So maybe 5, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds good. It sounds like
maybe 5.
It sounds like you're happier with this, you know, fitting into this situation, which is good. Because if you keep trying to put like a round peg into a square hole, well, a square into a round, whatever, whichever one's not supposed to go into the other
pegs
one.
don't go. It doesn't fit.
It's just not going in there. And so there's no point in beating yourself over the head when you've got something else that might fit better. So that's good.
And this is more, I mean, we're like, Sandra's read everything I've ever written. So if I tell you that we're 10K words into this and they haven't kissed, you know?
Yeah, this is definitely.
I wouldn't call it a slow burn, but there's a hell of a lot of plot. There's, you know, I might end up at the end of this going, who invited this pawn into my plot? What the fuck? I was writing nice fluffy things. You know, so, and I'm not even being disingenuous, like not even nothing. There was an almost maybe moment, just maybe, but nothing. So I'm more comfortable with this because then I don't feel like I'm presenting someone with just porn and saying, well, you have to do something with it.
Right. Yeah.
If the person who, if my story gets claimed, if my artist is not comfortable doing not safe for work stuff, then they have plenty of soft moments and even safe for work, you know, maybe moments. There's plenty of descriptions and scene setting that I think will translate really nicely to artwork for this. Whereas with the other one, it was just nothing but, you know, and that's great. I don't have a problem with nothing but porn. But it
might not have worked for, I
just didn't feel right with it, you know?
Yeah. No, that makes
like
sense.
I'm not used to collaborating with people aside from like the stuff that I do with you and the stuff that I do with Dreamer. But that's that's all of us working towards the same goal of the fic. I'm not used to collaborating with someone for a different creation based on my work, like art for a fic.
Yeah.
So, and that's very much in my mind, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, because we really don't know. Like I said, we're not even at that stage yet. So we don't know what's going to happen when we do get paired with an artist and what they're going to pick out as something that, you know, they want to draw, you know, transform in a certain way. So it'll be interesting. I think the bang, does it end around the same time the bingo does, or a little bit after? Like when we have to like
It's a little bit
submit?
after.
Yeah.
This posting starts in October for this one.
Yeah. So yeah, and the bingo ends September. So it'll be interesting. We've got a lot of things, I think, juggling happening. I think the summer is going to be.
I don't know why we did this to ourselves, guys. Fuck.
Well, it'll be fun. And I think what we'll do is, like, you know, when probably around the same time, since everything's sort of ending around the same time, we'll probably do like an update, you know, to kind of like bring it all together and say like, okay, how did we do?
Yeah.
This is the end result, and that kind of thing. And our
Not
thoughts on that.
Not holding anybody to anything, but we're gonna try and get Kim back when the bingo is ended. To talk it over with her.
Yeah.
And her experiences running it, our experiences participating in it.
It's her first real big one too that she's modded. So it'll be interesting if we can get her
she's
back.
She's doing an excellent job.
She is, absolutely.
She's doing an excellent job. We absolutely stand Kim.
I've had a lot of fun, even though we, you know, we hem and haw and we're like, oh my gosh, it's so, you know, but it's I think it really has just brought out a lot of different.
Oh yeah, I've had loads.
I don't think I would have done. So
yeah, that's my experience with the bingos, especially. Like Wincest is my wheelhouse. So the stresses I have with the bang are mostly to do with deadlines and timelines and how I am a goblin and I'm doing what I can with that. But for the bingo, you know, I have to step outside. And while I'm not opposed to doing male female, that isn't what's inspiring me at the moment. So I'm having to find different things to do, different pairings, just having to push myself. And I really, really enjoy that. And Kim is honestly, she's so helpful. You know, I've reached out to her and been like, hey, can I do this? And hey, can I do that? And she's like, yeah, absolutely. It's totally fine. This can be like this and this can be like that. And she's just so fucking nice, you guys, you don't even know. She's just so nice.
Yeah. I would definitely say if you're thinking about doing it the next time Kim has one, I think she's one of the best mods you could probably have, because she's very willing to, as a writer, she understands the what we put on ourselves, and even if there's restrictions or some hard no's, I think she's still willing to find sort of that gray area, you know, that you can play in if you really want to explore something when you're writing. I like that.
She's very much trying to, like, you know, she wants to work with you. She doesn't want to say, no, you have to do it this way and this is the only way. She's very much like, okay, you know, like, what are you thinking? Where are you at? Like, let me meet you, you know? So yeah, she's just a delight. And I'm sorry to put you on the spot, Sandra, but do you want to give a little rundown of your bingo prompt? Because fucking hell, you guys are not even ready. Bang idea, not bingo prompt.
My bing?
We talked about bingos.
My bing?
Your bing! We've done the bangos. Talk about the bing.
So I'm doing, like, it's a season 6. So we're talking Soulless Sam. It's still Soulless Sam at this point in the storyline, and I'm kind of.
Now, was there a particular reason that you picked Soulless Sam? Huh? Look at me interviewing like a champion.
I mean, I feel like so I think we keep talking about, like, not knowing what to do with the character. And I think Soulless Sam, he's really difficult. Sam's difficult for me anyway in general. So I was like, well, like, what would it be like to be in Dean's POV dealing with Soulless Sam? And then I thought, well, maybe there's a way I can sort of switch it in the middle and switch the POV from Soulless Sam and get in that mindset, which is going to be totally alien to me. But I have notes about, you know, what I think with that. But I thought it would be fun to sort of do like a case fic around the whole alpha hunt and stuff like that. And again, we're still dealing with Soulless Sam. And so I'm thinking it's sort of around the time, maybe like around Clap Your Hands If You Believe, sort of that situation. But after that, where I think I still want to get into how Dean's sort of like wrestling with trying to be Sam's conscious in a way, but still he doesn't know how to work with him. And he sees differences, just all these differences that he keeps comparing to before Sam. And I think these differences or whatever kind of maybe sparked again this because it's Wincest, it's going to be these feelings in Dean that maybe he pushed aside for a really long time for various reasons, all valid. And then how that sort of like gives an opening or a way for him to start to think about those feelings. Basically the case fic, because I don't know why they never did this on the show. One of the boys is going to end up stripping in this. There's a case fic and one of them has to strip. And you would think it was going to be one, but it's not. It's going to be the other one. It's going to be the one that never probably would have ever agreed when it was before Sam. So it's going to be Sam being, oh yeah, look at me, look at you. No contest. I'm going to be the one that gets picked. So
that is almost verbatim, by the way.
Yeah.
Sam is very much like, yeah, you went real method with Lisa. Yeah. And I was like, I'm the Sam person reading it going, fucking all right. Ow. What, Dean? Shut up.
Because I do feel that there's a crassness to Soulless Sam that, they leaned in too hard. I think a lot in Clap Your Hands If You Believe too. You still got to see, or even like the All Dogs Go to Heaven one, with the shifter, with the animal, the shapeshifter, whatever, skinwalker situation, right? And he can be mean and he can be very just, because there's no filter, there's no understanding of a certain amount of like couth or whatever. And I think with Dean, he feels even more so that he can just say whatever. So there's this, because again, it's a sibling thing too. So I think and I kind of want to get into the fact that, Sam's still trying to, I think, even though he's soulless, I think because he's back now with Dean after a year of not, I think he wants to figure out what's that brother like that Dean needs. So there's going to be some fun with some ideas in my head that I would love to see brought to life by the artist. But again, the artist could pick something else differently entirely, but there's a lot of opportunities, I feel. So there's going to be a shift, like a two POV, like the first half is going to be Dean, second half is going to be Sam. So I don't know why I'm doing it this way to myself, because I feel like the Sam's part is going to be really harder to write, but I think I'm at the halfway point where I'm going to be it's going to at least get to 10K, but I also want to get to the fun bits, but that's going to require some research and stuff like that. So I was researching, male strippers and like, what do they have to do to prepare and stuff like that. And I'm just like, oh, this is again. So I'll probably watch a little bit of Magic Mike just to get some ideas of some stripping situations, like what guys do on stage, because I went to a stripping show once, which was really fun. It was Thunder from Down Under. So I have some idea of what that's like, but it's also going to be seen through the lens of Dean in this one particular scene. So I kind of I really want to amp that up a lot. I feel like that's a really like big deal. And it's going to be focusing on Sam so much, and all of like that visual aspect. I really want to kind of nail, but still make it feel like Sam. But again, soulless Sam and the differences, because there is a big difference between Sam and soulless Sam. And I kind of want to
1000%.
That struggle, that Dean's got, I think with that is going to be interesting, but then also have fun with it. And there's going to be a scene with Dean that I kind of I want to have fun with that too. So, but then there's also going to be, I don't think there's necessarily going to be a happy ending, but there'll be a happy for now. Cause I don't think you can have a happy ending with Dean and Soulless Sam. I just don't think that's a thing. Like so it's a happy for now in that moment. And because there's still going to be things that have to happen there.
Yeah. I think the best you'll get is that they just agree not to talk about it again. And that's
I think so.
That.
I think so. Yeah.
But the question I need to know is, are they going to fuck though?
Well, I think they have to. right?
Well, they don't have to. We just established you don't have to submit sex.
No, but I feel that's.
I mean, you'd have to market mature either way for
yeah
strippers and
no,
shit. But
I mean, I think the way it's going, I think there's going to be something. I think it's going to be the whole entire thing. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I know there's going to be intimacy one way or another. I'm pretty sure it's gonna happen.
Do I need to provide a second digital goat as payment for the blowjob scene that you owe me?
No. I think that's definitely happening. That's definitely happening. No, that's happening. Because we talked about it. There's we talked about Soulless Sam's refractory period. So that's definitely going to be a thing that I think we're going to have in there. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. That's going to be a thing. So that's going in there.
Well, look, I just have to protect my interests, you see. Mm-hmm. You see, the thing is, when you write things and you give Dean things like fucking killed my chances of choking on anything, like when you do those things and then you owe me. Mm-hmm. You owe all of us.
I know. No, it's that part's definitely going to be in there. And I think more, again, I think it's just going to depend on the writing itself when it starts and what you said, what feels right. Mm-hmm. I think so. I think in this one it will. It feels like it's going that way. It feels like it's going to be an all or nothing in that moment situation. So even though there might be I think there's going to be this discussion and then this thing that happens. I'm just trying to figure out how that's going to happen right now. But
alcohol is a great social.
Well, that's already happening in that scene. So yes, I think that lends itself to it. Might definitely be some dubious consent, but which I don't really
think you have to tag.
Right. Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think you have to do everything with Soulless Sam is kind of questionable,
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So yeah. I'm so fucking excited. I'm so excited. This is always the way. I'm always far more excited for my buddy stuff than mine. I'm like, yeah, mine will be fine. And then you guys tell me and I'm like, fuck, get.
Kasey, any final thoughts on your bings and bangos and where you're at right now?
I'm very, very pleased that my mouth wrote a check that I had to cash. And also Kim, because I know you're listening to this because I'm going to come and bug you about it. I'm going to be like, we did bingo episode, come listen. If we can get a Jackals and I don't have a word for Jared, but if you could set up 2 next year, that'd be fucking
Can we
sweet.
go with JarPad or no?
We can do a JarPad. Yeah, JarPad.
Yeah.
JAcklesVerse and JarPad. Yeah.
Jay Padalecki just doesn't have the same JarPad.
It's because Ackles has that, it's got that sis on the end of it, Yeah. Yeah. And my point is, I would like to be able to write Sam Winchester for bingo, please. Thank you. But
so if you know of anything that maybe Kasey hasn't found yet, too, let him know.
Because Sandra owes me. Because all right, I made the stupid comment. Well, it's not stupid, but I made the comment. I was like, oh, if it opens up, I'll join the JAcklesVerse bingo. But I was very clear that it was conditional on I would find a Jared or Sam bingo and Sandra would have to join me on that. So, Kim, it would be real fucking sweet if you do both of them next year. But if not, if you know of any Jared/Sam bingos that are still active, hit us up because Sandra owes me.
Maybe just wait until after September, October.
But after September would be... Tell us later in the year. Tell us later in the year. We're not ready to do that right now.
We have too many up for in advance and know that it's coming, but not have to do with over the next 3 months would be great.
It's worth bearing in mind as well that in amongst all of this, Sandra is trying to work on her lengthy whip of wash, rinse, repeat. I have been working on Junkies. We busy, y'all. Mm-hmm. We busy, and we work and we podcast. So if you know any Sam Jared focused bingos, let us know, but let us know in advance. Mm-hmm. Please.
Thank you. Please and thank you. Yes.
Thanks, guys. Yeah. But no, I am walking away from this having, been in it for March, April. It's 3 months now. It's been fucking sweet. It's been really great. I love hanging out in the Discord and, chatting. Just, it's, I will say, that's a lot of Dean love, which is, I don't know what I expected. It's called the fucking JAcklesVerse bingo Discord. What did you expect, you fool? There's a lot of Dean love, but you know what? That's really nice to be surrounded by people. It's inspiring to be surrounded by people who love a character in that way. It's real fucking nice.
Yeah.
I'm an enormous fan.
Good.
Any thoughts for you, Sandra, being like 9 months into the process?
No, just that I think my brain's
doing
just
it.
kind of like figuring it out, that it's happening and what else can I kind of do? Every so often I'm just like, oh, remember there's this thing. Let's try to figure out what we're doing with it situation, which helps. It's definitely like juggling, I think is a good word. Like juggling in between things, giving something a little bit of love, then going back to something else, then going back to this, and like how many things can I juggle at the same time? I really can only do 3 things at the same time, like three whips. So right now I think I'm doing the Wincest one, I'm working on the Rowena Priestley one, and I'm working on my wash, rinse, repeat. So I kind of go in between them every so often. So once one kind of like fades out, I'll probably pick up another one. And, I'm thinking the bingo will probably fill that gap.
Yeah, see, I thought I could do that and then I couldn't.
It's not easy, but yeah. And especially when you don't feel like you've got the creativity flowing daily. I'm trying to do it at least a few days a week though, like sit down, even if it's just 100 words or just rereading something and adding something to it or writing down a note, make sure, oh, this is an idea. Let's maybe fit this in or let's change this up or that kind of stuff. So no, it's been fun. It's been a fun, exhausting, challenging, sometimes questioning ourselves situation. But I think in the end, it's all gonna have been very much worth it, So it's been fun. It's been fun at the end of the day. So yay!
Yeah.
Don't I sound enthused about it? But yes, it has. It has been a fun experience. I don't know if I don't think I could do so many in a year.
Maybe ask for a smaller bingo card next time.
Yeah, I think that might be a good choice. I was a little ambitious with that, but
I know I love it though. I love it though. I love it that you were like balls to the wall. Let's do this fucking thing.
Yeah.
I'm fully invested in that.
Yeah. But we are going to wrap up this episode because we've been at this for a while. So we want to thank you for listening and let us know what you thought of the episode. You can email us at idlingintheimpala@gmail.com. You can comment on Spotify in the Q&A section, leave a YouTube comment, join our Discord, and chat with fellow idlers and us in real time. Check out our merch store, which is another fun way to show your support. You can find details for everything on our website, idlingintheimpala.com. Want to fuel our supernatural road trip? Consider joining us on Ko-fi for as little as $1 a month. We have perks to go along with different membership tiers and would love to have you along for the ride.
And digital goats are now in production. So if you do join up for a Ko-fi membership, your digital goat will be with you within 48 hours. Yeah, let's go with that. Okay. Sometimes I need to sleep sometimes.
Yes.
But don't forget, you can also support us for free by liking, commenting, subscribing on YouTube, and following, rating, sharing on audio platforms. Engagement like that really helps us with the algorithms. All hail their benevolence. As always, we have the causes we support in the description. We have LGBTQ plus talking charities from me, mental health charities from Sandra, USA election info also from Sandra. Keep yourself informed and up to date as November closes in. UK peeps, when our Prime Minister stops arsing about, I'll get some UK election information in there as well. But in both cases, remember, it is a jump to the left, not a step to the right, to bastardize the Rocky Horror Picture Show and the Tenacious D cover of Time Warp. Main causes that we are still always championing, supporting, highlighting any other adjectives that mean drawing attention to: World Central Kitchen and Doctors Without Borders. Both of these charities are on the ground working in the Ukraine to help those still affected by Russia's unlawful invasion of the Ukraine, and Gaza, which is in the crossfire of the war between Israel and Hamas. This is not political. It doesn't matter which side of these issues you stand on. We are coming from a purely humanitarian view here. There are people in the Ukraine and Gaza that are trapped. They are cut off from basic human rights like food, water, and shelter, and they're dying. They didn't ask for war, and we want to help the people risking their lives to help them. If you cannot or do not want to donate financially, that's absolutely fine. Just sharing the links around social media helps massively to keep these issues in the public eye and get people in need all the help that we can. So with that, we will say thank you for joining us in the back seat, and we will see you next time, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.